Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we have the Fig Mini X. This device is essentially a dumb phone, but it does have some extra added benefits. Like it does have a touchscreen and a nice menu, and of course it does have Waze. I'm going to compare this in a few minutes to the Sunbeam F1 Horizon, which is the same price. But let's get to the tour of the device and how it works and all of that before. So the frequently asked questions are here for all of you that always ask the same questions. There you go. As you see, the device costs $250, and I think it does have a good value, but you need to consider a couple of competitors, especially at that price range. So first of all, it does have a music player. It's quite nice. You can load your music and it will load it with, genres, music, yada, yada, yada. It does have a notes app, which allows you to take quick notes. It does have two configurations for a keyboard. One of them is you can use right here the essentially T9 or predictive text, as you see right there. That's hello with the predictive text. But, it does also have the ability to use your keyboard here, swipe, and it does have voice to text via Gboard, which, I personally think it's a good thing because you're able to type faster, especially in different situations. So I really like it. I quite like it. The device itself, on the outer edge, on the hardware perspective, it does have a power button, kind of like an on and off button. It does have volume rockers on the sides. They're pretty much plasticky. The construction of the device is not super premium, but it does feel good in the hand. It's plastic, but it's quite a nice finish. It's kind of like a matte finish. It does have an outer screen that gives you notifications. It does have USB-C right here. And it does have a 3.5mm headphone jack with a camera. I believe that camera is about 2 or maybe 5, if I recall correctly. Not the most amazing camera in the world. I can showcase some samples, and I probably will do it right now, but I'll show you how it looks. So, it does have autofocus, and it does have the ability to, kind of get in there. But the samples are pretty decent. It's not the most amazing device in the world, but it will get you out of a pinch if you have to use it or if you had to send some documentation. It does have a clock and stopwatch, alarms, kind of like the basic things. It's built on top of Android. That's the way that they are able to use Waze, and Waze works as expected. So when it comes to the software tour of the device that I'm doing right now for you, it does have a lot of nice functions. Now, one thing that I noticed, this one has a bigger cousin or brother, which is the Fig 2X. This is a larger device with better specs, more RAM, a better processor. And I think the software is not truly or 100%, I will say it's 90% optimized for the Fig Mini. It's the same software. They're running pretty much the similar apps, but here on the calendar app, you will notice that it is quite small text. And because of that, I think it's because this one is optimized for the Fig 2X instead of the Fig Mini X. And because of that, it's a little bit harder to navigate. You can still add your events and, have a lot of the functionality, but it's a little bit small, especially on the first portion. Unless you change the view and you change the view to maybe like a daily view, and then you're able to see all of your tasks and events, and you're able to add them, and then you have no issues. But some things do feel like, okay, we developed this for the original device and not for this mini device. It was kind of like, okay, we introduced this one as a secondary option. The messaging application is quite nice. It does have a scheduling function, actually, right here at the top. Let me see if I can tap it. Yep. So you can schedule messages. You put the phone number, you put the message right there, and you should be able to without issues. It hasn't, at least I didn't have many bugs. I'm trying to accelerate a little bit of let me type a number right there to send to. And the typing experience is quite nice. It feels like Google Messages, to be honest. And the responsiveness of the keys, these are rubbery keys, do feel really good. Now, I tested this device with T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, and I did not have any issues. I haven't been able to find the new certifications, and that's probably because this is a re-engineered device and it's quite new. I think it came out like 4 months ago, and now they have a stronger hinge, that mechanism. Of course, that wouldn't affect much of the FCC, but I'll be looking for some of the extra certifications, but it works really well, and I didn't have any issues. Now, again, it does have double tap for emojis and for Gboard, and you kind of have like the ability to search for a lot of other things. But the voice to text is the quite nice area right there, and because it's Gboard, you can go into the settings and add your language, which it's quite nice to have whatever language you want to be able to text, especially if you're a texter in a different language. Different to the Sunbeam F1 Horizon, which only allows you 2 languages, and there's a limited selection of languages that you have. Gboard has way more languages at that point. But it's pretty responsive, pretty snappy. It does have pretty similar specs to the Sunbeam F1 Horizon. If anything, it has a couple of extra better specs, like the screen is a little bit better, and the memory, like the RAM, is a little bit better. Some of the software, it's a little dated on the design, but that's just kind of like a personal preference. I don't think it really affects some of the performance. But the main thing that this suffers with, and maybe I haven't been able to find it, but I was not able to find some of these things, is that it doesn't have hotspot. So it does have Wi-Fi. It does have Wi-Fi calling. It does have a lot of really, really nice features in that department, but it doesn't have hotspot. And that is a little bit of a bummer. Hopefully they'll be able to add it because the device definitely supports it. I mean, as you know, it's built on Android. It does have Bluetooth and storage, and it's a pretty sizable amount. It's about 32 gigs. And I believe it also has an SD card expansion. So that's, very nice. Again, this device is $250, and I'm going to bring 2 competitors kind of like in the same realm or in the same category. The first one is the Sunbeam F1 Horizon. Of course, this device is a little bit geared towards kind of like a similar audience. And as you think about the similar audience, you have 2 devices that are pretty similar. I would say the build quality is definitely better on the Fig Mini, just because of that matte finish instead of the glossy finish. But when it comes to the functionality, you kind of have to ask yourself, which one do I want? Do I want hotspot? Do I not want hotspot? But they perform pretty much the same. Although the slimmer profile, it's really nice on the Mini. I really don't find, or this is a mini phone, quote unquote, but of course it's not super small like the ones of old, because when it opens it's quite large, but it is less robust than the Sunbeam F1. So it's kind of like a competitor. 250, which one do you prefer? And the software on the F1 has been optimized more for that screen size, whereas again this one has been optimized more for the bigger device, which is, as you see right there, quite a larger screen, and I think nicer screen as well, personally. Of course, the specs also speak to that, but as you see, the calendar, it's just a little bit better on the Fig, on the specific device, but very similar functionality. But as you see, the bigger screen, it has just been optimized for this one rather than for the small one, and that's kind of like a software thing. So as they get more feedback, and as probably they see this video, they're going to be like, okay, hey, we can optimize it a little bit better for ratios and that kind of stuff. It does have some extra applications that are not applicable to me, so I'm not going to go into those. But I personally think that this device is a good, strong contender, especially with the Sunbeam F1. If you don't need hotspot, this can also be, and you need maybe a different language or keyboard, this one may be a little bit of a different option, different design with similar functionality. The other one that I'm going to compare it to is completely in a different category, but around the same price. So this is the Take Mini, the M5, and this one's $300, although you can find it for about $250, $275 if you go on eBay. And as you see right there, this device, of course, is kind of like similar finish, very definitely more open, more apps. It has the ability to load whatever you want, but it's kind of like, what are you looking for? Are you looking to spend $250, have a more basic experience, or $300 for a more, open experience? And it kind of depends on your preferences and what you want. But very good device. When it comes to if you're looking to the Fig family of devices, I have the 2X, and I'll be reviewing that probably sometime next week. I've been testing both of them, and they've been doing really great. Essentially, the Fig Mini 2X is just the 2X is bigger than the Mini X, and it has just a faster performance, really nicer camera and nicer battery life and nicer screen. just because it's a little bit of a bigger device. But if you're looking for a more compact experience, I think this one will not disappoint. The Mini X is a very good device, and I really enjoyed using it. If you have any questions about this device or any of the other devices that I have reviewed, make sure to put them in the comments below, and I'll be interacting with you guys. And between these two, it's kind of like a form factor thing, or whether you want to have a little bit of a bigger device. Anyways, hope to see you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.